This has been a fun day so far. We are about, I don't know, 4 hours late for the show. I think if I was that late for anything else, I would have been fired, divorced, or anything else. But it's it's been a kind of an odd day. Hi everyone, T-Sibs with you. It's the LG Hockey Hotline, and of course, as always, with me is Vihai and Maranaconda. Gentlemen, how are you guys doing?
It's been an interesting day, Sibs. Very, very interesting to say the least. A little bit slow going today, huh? But we're getting her done here. We're getting along with it, and hopefully everybody gets the link out there. I'm about to get it up here. I'm just scrambling to confirm my lineups if everybody catches my drift here. Shouldn't be. It's usually pretty easy and quick, but we'll get her done here.
Yeah, we have a lot of stuff to talk about anyway, so you go ahead and do that, and I'll just get straight to an announcement here from Barris about the All-Star game. He just wanted me to get the rules out here for everybody so we can get them out there and people can go hit the 3 polls that we have up that he put up for the All-Star voting. So basically, and stick with me through this to the bitter end. I'll get through it fairly quick. The top 4 vote getters among the 3 polls become All-Star captains. The number 1 and number 4 vote getters are on Team A, and number 2 and number 3 vote getters are on Team B. Those 4 captains pick from a pool of 50 All-Star candidates as picked by the committee. 25 forwards, 18 D-men, and 7 goalies. They then have a snake draft, and the 2 teams pick players to fill out the roster. So go ahead and vote for your players, guys. Those are the rules for the All-Star voting. Get those votes in because I don't think it's gonna. I think it's only like a 24-hour, maybe a 48-hour poll. So get those done. The other thing that we got going on is we have our poll question, which today is coming into the last week of the season. We have a tight playoff race across both conferences here in a couple of divisions. Which of these teams not currently in a playoff spot will make it in by the end of the week? The Phantoms and the Bears are both at -3 points. Sound Tigers at -5. The Ice Caps at -10. Over in the West, it's the Wild -8, the Stars -1, and the Moose -11. So far, people are voting 6 votes towards the Bears, 1 for the Stars, and nobody else getting any votes yet. But go ahead and vote in that poll for us, and I will definitely get back to that by the end of the show and let you know what our results are.
Alrighty. It's getting hot and heavy here. Getting close to the end of the season, and the playoffs are just around the corner. And this week, there was a lot of new performers in the league, and it's getting hot and heavy. We're getting right up to the edge of it here.
And of course, this being the last week of the regular season for the AHL, and as the poll mentioned there by Jonathan suggests, there are plenty of teams who still have a shot, and I guess that's one good thing about the playoff structure, at least for this season, is that you've got a lot of teams who are still vying for a position. Certainly, you've had teams like our team, the Bears, and the Condors, and a few others who have been on winning streaks for a few weeks now and have really put themselves in position for a playoff spot. But maybe this suggests that this format, while some people may not think it's totally fair, might also give people a chance to stay within their division. And if you play teams in your division, more than anybody else, that's your main competition. So I love seeing these many teams still having a shot at getting a playoff spot.
I agree. It means you have to win in your division, right, Sibs? I mean, you gotta take care of business within your own division and within your own conference, because there's going to be tons of races that come down to tiebreakers, and that's going to really and I think it creates interdivisional rivalries and compete within the division itself, and that's where it's really supposed to be. Yeah, you got your Eastern Conference rivals, but when you dive in and you get the division rivals, that's when it really starts to get good and highly competitive, and that's the best part. That's what I'm sure everybody who's on this site, that's what competitors live for, are those chances to fight against the guys that they're constantly playing the most out of any teams in the league, and constantly having a shot to go up against those guys more than any other team in the league and fight for division dominance.
Yeah, and regardless of what you think about the current playoff structure, we did know what it was coming into the season, and it's been that. And honestly, the way that it's shaping up, I mean, we just had a list of 7 teams that aren't in a playoff spot currently, behind the 16 teams that are. There's only, I think there's 5 teams eliminated from playoff contention in the league, which means we've still got 25 teams that mathematically aren't eliminated yet. Now, there's 7 that we've chosen that look like they're within striking distance, but to have 85% of the teams still available final week of the season, it should make this really interesting.
It's going to come down to the wire. Huge games this week. And if anybody else's schedule's like ours, we have, let's see, just to count them up real quick. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of our last 9 games of the season are against divisional opponents, and it's make or break time. It's right there to be had. You just got to go out and grab it.
Well, it's going to be a fun week, I think, with all these matchups. And certainly later on, I'm going to get to the game of the week, maybe the game of the season for some of these teams. And we'll talk about what we picked last week and what we're going to pick for this week. But there are plenty of opportunities this week to see some great games that can absolutely be putting a team in or out of the playoffs. So I think this is one of those weeks where you're going to want to watch maybe a few more games than you typically would during the week, besides the ones that you're playing. And I think that's going to add to the excitement, and it's going to be very, very interesting to see what teams make it in. There have been teams, as we mentioned, that have made runs that are putting themselves in position. And so there are some key matchups this week between these couple of teams that will be fun to watch, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on.
Yeah, 100%. It's something we talked about in the very first show when we wrapped up Season 1 and began talking about Season 2, talking about all these teams, and it's kind of playing out that way where we've got, we have 7 teams that are on the cusp of possibly making a playoff spot. Well, we have, 3 or 4 teams that are on the cusp of losing their current playoff spot. So we could see some spots change hands this week, or it could stand pat. You never know. Currently, you have the Ice Hogs, Rampage, Wolves, and Monsters that have clinched playoff spots, and in the West, and in the East you have the Americans and the Wolfpack, and the rest of it's wide open. So we'll see how it plays out for sure. That's something that I'm excited about. I know you guys are. We were talking about it a little while earlier as we were, kind of hanging out, and it's going to be fun for sure.
So I guess we get down to business here, and you already talked about the poll question. We have power rankings that we can actually look at right now, and so we'll get started on that. And typically we start with myself on the area of goaltending, And goaltending's been kind of interesting this week. Again, one or two new names that popped out, but also some guys who we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks. And we'll get started as soon as I can bring it up and take a look at it. The first goaltender that I want to talk about is somebody that we've talked about in the past this season, but on another team, and it's Abdil 666, and he's back in the AHL now with the Bakersfield Condors. He went 2-0 this week, two goals against average. He's been 4-1 since coming to the Condors, and again 2.2 goals against. And since he's been back, he's been part of, not the total reason for it, but he's part of the reason why the Condors have had a resurgence in the past 2 weeks. They've been 13-5 in the past 2 weeks, and you wonder if because he was on the Americans' really solid team, playing great, how much of it is him, how much of it's the team. Well, the Condors are also a very good team, but he's doing it again with a different team this season in the AHL, and that to me tells you that his game, while it was pretty good last year, I think has gotten much better this year, and he's proven that he can play in this league with any team and play well. So Abdil's one of the guys I wanted to mention from the power rankings. Another guy who is in there is Dark Fire 103 for the Hartford Wolfpack. He's gone 3-0 this week, 133 goals against with a shutout. He was acquired from the Rampage 3 weeks ago. He's been 5-1 with Hartford since, 2.23 goals against. His one loss, a 2-0 defeat at the hands of the Portland Pirates, where he wound up making 15 saves in that game. It seems like Rampage GM Mooner has been able to find an abundance of goaltenders that he really doesn't need because he himself is a solid one. So he was able to trade off Darkfire, and luckily for the Wolfpack, they were able to acquire him. I'm not sure how much time Darkfire is going to see with this team necessarily, with Big Lammers at the number one position with a record of 16-5-2. He has a goals against of 2.5. You've got Jones, who's been 6-1 recently, very hot goaltender, under 2 goals against, and Shark 6902, who has been an EC for the last few weeks. He has gone 5-0 with them, 2.22 goals against. So, a lot of goaltending now on Hartford, and while Darkfire's played well, who do you go with? I'm not sure if there is necessarily a, somebody that you would kick out of this equation, but I'm not sure what else you can do at this point either. You've got a lot of goaltenders there, and he may get caught in a numbers game. Another guy that we've talked about a lot, post-trade, Tyler Loki, also with the Rampage now. He is 4-0 this past week, 1.69 goals against. Came over from Stockton 2 weeks ago, as we mentioned in other shows, right after losing to the Rampage, oddly enough, is when the trade happened. He has gone 7-0 since then, 2.3 goals against. I think change of scenery has definitely helped out Tyler big time. The goalie tandem of Tyler and Mooner, I think is going to be a tough matchup for any team coming playoff time. A couple of others to talk about. I got 3 more to talk about, even though there's just a 3 stars. But I'm telling you, there was so much good work by goaltenders this week, I felt I had to mention him. Matt Bielski with the San Jose Barracuda going 3-1, 1.75 goals against. He had been struggling for quite a few weeks before this, but he's been 6-1-1 the past 2 weeks, just over 2 goals against, including a 15-shot shutout against a team this week, against our team this week. If Beals can keep this up, this will be another team from the West with 2 solid goaltenders to go with going into the playoffs. Of course, Perkins Pancake House, the GM of that team, being another very, very good goaltender on that team. So shout out to Matt Bielski. Rask over in Rockford, as if this team doesn't have enough. Now they have a goaltender who's been playing very hot. 5-0 last week, 2.21 goals against. He cleared training camp 3 weeks ago. He's been 16-1 since then. He'll share the duties with C. Fay at 30. And as I said, Rockford already has enough of a squad everywhere else now. Looks like they found a good goaltending tandem that will carry them into the playoffs to make them even more dangerous. Last guy I want to mention, excuse me, is a guy who's been getting a lot of work. And when I mean a lot of work, he's been getting shot after shot after shot on him. And that's Apex Predator 724 of the Texas Stars. 5-0-1 record last week, 2.45 goals against. He made 81 saves in those games, and again played 6 games, but that's a lot of shots. 13-2-1 in the last 16 games. He's averaging 17.6 shots a game in the past 4 weeks. That's a tremendous workload, and yet he's put up a damn good goals against and solid numbers all around. And he's kept this Texas Stars team in the playoff race during that and provided a lot of leadership to boot. So Apex Predator 724, my final note here on goaltenders, getting a ton of work but coming through and being a solid goaltender that he's been all season long. And then the Stars have needed him, and he's provided for them. And so that's it for goaltenders. I'll give you my 1 star a little bit later on, but let's move on to, I believe, Jonathan now with the defensive players for this week.
Yes, sir. So this week there were...
I'm going to go ahead and interject there, buddy. The mic is acting up a little bit there. But there's going to be somebody familiar on that list this week, I believe. If I'm not correct.
Couple of guys we know.
Yep, couple of guys we know. Finally, that's good to see. But Jonathan, we got you over there.
I don't think he's back yet. We'll see him in a minute.
It's been a day of technical difficulties, I can tell you that much. It's been kind of a frustrating day, to say the least. It's been interesting, but here he is. He's back and better than ever, and he's gone. You there, Jonathan?
Yeah, I'm here.
There we go. You are good to go, man. Fire away.
Yeah, I'm not even going to talk about technology today. So on defense, we had the site's #1 star was Blade Runner GT from the Wolfpack. He had 7 points, 1 goal. He was a +9, 2.3 points a game. He was 3-0. Another guy on there is Jabot 27. He only played 2 games, but he had 8 points and 5 goals. He was a +3, had 4 points a game. And then there's I'm going to throw a shout out to a couple of D-men from the Hershey Bears. As tough of a season as we've had to this point, it's nice to have a couple of them on the power rankings in defense this week. Sugar Sose and Munchkinny 1980. Sose played 3 games. He was a +10 with 7 points. He averaged 2.3 points a game. 3 solid victories for him at the beginning of the week, and Munchkinny filled in twice for us this week as an ECU, and he had 3 points, 2 goals, and it was a +4. And he played left D and right D for us and was successful in both games, and also had a game-winning goal in overtime in his first game this week.
As well as Soze did that as well. Those guys are very versatile guys who could play either side of the point, which makes them very valuable guys. And I just wanted to interject with that. That's a rare thing. A lot of guys only want to stay on their one-timer side. Which, if you ask me, defensively, I'd rather have a guy on his strong side personally. Because look at how many times does that one-timer get scored. But sorry to interject. I just wanted to shoot that in there real quick and say that those guys' versatility really shined through this week.
Absolutely. And Son 13 from the Ice Hogs had a nice week as well. He was 2-0, 5 points. He had a goal and was a +13 in those 2 games that he played for the Ice Hogs. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe he might have been an ECU as well. Blindfold for the Pirates he had 6 points. He had 1 goal, was a +3. He only played 2 games, was 3 points a game, and he as well played left D and right D, 1 in each of his games. and is up here on the league's power rankings. The league's third star of the week, as Soze was the second star and Blade Runner GT was the first star. The third star by the league this week was Stibby66 of the Gulls, who's been consistently up here all year long. He was 3-0, had 5 points, 2 goals. He was a +7, and this guy is a model of consistency. As we get to our top 10 scorers in the league later on in this show, you'll probably see him show up again. And then the Americans have a couple of defensemen. ZD Ball was 3-0 alongside of their GM Ryan X28, both 3-0. Ball had 6 points. Ryan had 8 points. They were both a +6, and they each played left D and right D this week. As we move further down, you have guys like Goose Chuck, Kyle, Mixter V277 that seem to be mainstays on the power rankings. Fairly high up in the stats and playing for solid Western Conference teams. And then we also have Heinekens, who was traded from the Chicago Wolves to the Hartford Wolfpack a couple of weeks ago. He was 3-0 this week for the Wolfpack. He had 3 points, no goals, but he was a +14. And they got 3 huge wins this week and locked up a playoff spot. Also for the Wolves, you had T.S. Mades 244, who was 2-0, was had 4 assists, was a +4, 2 points a game. I wanted to just go back and run down that there were 5 people in the league's power rankings on defense that played both left and right D this week, and all 5 of those players, which were Sugar Soze, Blindfold, Munchkiny, ZD Ball, and Ryan X28, all of those players were undefeated this week, playing multiple defensive positions for their team. That for me, that's huge. I think that's amazing to be able to play both, like Mike said before. So I wanted to give an extra shout out to those 5 guys who made it into the power rankings, and as a group collectively went undefeated for the week, playing 2 separate defensive positions. I guess next we'll move on to forward power rankings, Mike.
That is a great job by those defenders. Once again, that does show great versatility, and it shows an understanding. That's one thing that always drives me nuts when you're playing drop-ins or whatever. Guys, I only play left wing, or I only play right defense. It's like, learn all the positions, because you know what that's going to do? That's going to improve your game by letting you know, or forcing you to know, where each position is supposed to be positioned on the ice. It'll help you know where to look as a defenseman looking for your wingers. It'll help you know where to be as a winger to give your defenseman that breakout option. It's so important to learn all 6 positions on the ice, really. I mean, I'm just starting to dabble into goalie myself. I'm just starting to get into it, so, that's the one position that I'm no good at and that I need to work on, and I'm starting to work on that position. But, I think personally everybody should know how to play everywhere on the ice. That way it gives you more of a full understanding of how the game goes, and it allows you to know where to be on the ice, to support other positions as well. So,
and it'll keep you from asking a teammate why he was over there or why he was over there. If you play the position and understand how it is, you'll understand before he even goes where he's going, why he's going to go there, and where you need to be to help him on that play.
Absolutely. All right, over to the offensive stats for the week. We have some familiar faces up at the top, of course, but then we do have some new faces, and we do have Jay Claus up there again. He's sitting at the 3rd star of the week for the league. Jay Scott is an interesting one for me. It's kind of interesting how he got up there, but he had a great week. He had 10 goals, 14 points, playing over there for the Charlotte Checkers. And I'm sure it has a lot to do with, unfortunately the Checkers haven't had the best season this season, and that happens to everybody. But it could very well be that, he went out and was 3-0 on that team this week, and they put together a good few games there, and that's good to see that they're still battling and they're still fighting if not for anything, but to play the spoiler and keep teams out of the playoffs. That is their job moving forward. Matt the Cool Cat from the Syracuse Crunch went 3-0 on the week with 22 points. 13 goals. He was a plus 13 on the week, 7.3 points a game at left wing over there in Syracuse. Claus did chip. He did end up with a 3-0 record this week, 19 points, 9 goals, 10 assists, plus 12, 6.3 points a game, as per usual.
Were you going to say chipped in?
Yeah. Kraz 18 is a player, who's he's one of my favorite players, and he always just seems to be on the outskirts of these top three every week, and I don't know how. It kind of blows me away, but he had 18 points on the week with 12 goals, 6 assists, plus 13 on the week, 6.0 points a game. That's a great job for Kraz 18 over there with the Ice Hogs. Russ Grant was 3-0 on the week for the Providence Bruins, picking up 18 points, 8 goals, 8 goals, 10 assists, plus 7 on the week, 6.0 points per game. Building What had a great week for Toronto. He's a very good player over there. He's new to the league this season, I believe, and he's on a team that's struggling. But once again, it's their job to keep teams out of the playoffs this week, and I hope they take pride in that. If not anything else, just take pride in the fact, that it's your job, and you have to make people earn their way past you this week. So don't give up out there in Toronto either. Make people earn their way and earn everything they get against you this week, because there's always next year, and you always want to make sure that you finish strong and don't just give up out there. 7th on the list this week, and I kind of wish I'd see her a little bit higher here. It's great to see her finally getting going this year, as well as the rest of the Bears. I know we don't like to talk about the Bears very much on here because that is the team that we are associated with, but NHL Baby Girl just had one heck of a week this week. She showed her form from season 1 this week in every game she played in. She had 15 points this week, 10 of which were goals. She was a plus 10 on the week, 5 points per game. And her line mates have changed quite a bit this season. So, it's good to see her finally get some continuity with some players and really start to throw in the points that we know she can produce and did last year for us as well. There's interesting people on the top here. There's Bob Schwager. He's one of your setup guys. Centers don't usually, for the most part, get a lot of goals, but he had 3 goals on the week, but he also had 14 assists. That means he's a distributor. He likes to get the puck to his teammates and set them up for their goals. And another guy, N. Riney from the Ice Hogs, he's up there with 3-0 on the week, 17 points, plus 11, 5.7 points a game. The blind ref had a great week. Tumac 9 from the Americans had a great week. It's going to be great to see these offensive guys start really getting themselves amped up and ready to go to the playoffs here. And we'll see who can make their way to the top of the list for the last week of the season, and see if some of these teams that are playing spoiler this week can keep it up and throw some of their guys back up into the top of the forward ranks for week 9. And with that being said, I guess we'll kick it back to Sibs to give his number 1 star for the goalies for the week. And what do you got over there, Sibs? Hello, Sibs.
Unmute.
Sorry about that. I'm sorry. I was talking to somebody on Skype, so I just kind of lost track there. I want to go back to Apex Predator just because we had a lot of great performers, but like I said, he has had a hell of a workload in the past few weeks, and he has kept his team in it. He is playing incredibly well. He is a good leader for the team, and even though he may not be very high up on the 3 stars for goaltenders in power rankings, I think right now, this past week, he has meant more to his team than anybody else, and I think I give him my star of the week because he right now is the goaltender who's made a huge difference for his team.
Yeah. For me, I'm going to take the chance the league handed me, and really it's Sugar Soze who handed it to me by having the type of week that he did. But Sugar Soze from the Bears is going to be my star, and um, he being 3-0 playing left D and right D for us, having 7 points. He didn't have a goal, but he was a plus 10. Um, and for me, I've played with this guy most of the year until this week when schedules didn't line up and we had to move him off our line for a few games, and he flourished under the pressure of being added into an existing line. And the week that he had, it was nice to see because he struggled this year. Really, our whole line had struggled up to this point the last couple weeks, and it's nice to see him unload and have a great week and be up here in the power rankings. And to me, after watching everything he's gone through this year, I know I'm the AGM of the Hershey Bears and everything, and you can say what you want, but he earned it this week. He is my first star.
That's good to see. I'm going to go ahead and, you know, I'm going with Kraz 18 from the Ice Hogs. He didn't make it into the top 3 from the website, and he had an amazing game this week, and didn't even earn first star of the night for that game, which was totally shocking. And that was also my game of the week, which we'll get to later on in the broadcast. It wasn't very much of a game of the week, if you ask me. But Kraz ended up putting up 7 goals and 2 assists in that game. And I've played with this guy before. He has a knack for taking the puck from people and going and putting it in the back of the net. The guy is fantastic defensively. He's got an amazing offensive touch. You know, he just had a great week, and I don't know why. For some reason, he keeps just missing out on the top 3 or the number 1 spot. So mine's going to Kraz this week with 18 points, 12 of them goals, plus 13, and 6.0 points per game. That's unstoppable.
He's number 4 on the league's list and number 1 in your heart.
For now.
This week.
Hey, we're going to just sidetrack the show a little bit here. Obviously, we haven't mentioned much about it because there's a lot of unknowns about what's been going on with the website, but we have our media director for LG F5 Penguin who's on with us now. Again, thanks for joining us today. I appreciate you coming on with us to talk about what's going on.
No problem. Are we on video, by the way? I apologize.
Yeah, but you know we're too ugly to actually show our faces, so sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. But it's up to you.
No problem. There we go. You should be able to see me and hear me now, right?
There you go. Yep.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
great. Sorry, it's been a little bit crazy here while we I'm moving in. I just moved into a new space for my studio, so I'm kind of just getting settled in. I moved last week, so it's been a little bit nuts. Yeah, so I appreciate you guys having me on. Sorry for the rush to get everything set up. I've been in crisis mode since about 3 o'clock here Eastern time with the website going down. So
you, I know you just put out a something on the shout box in the AHL about games being on for tonight.
Yeah.
If you want to go into that a little bit more, and then talk a little bit about what you guys have been dealing with today.
Sure, yeah. So I don't want to say too much right now because we're trying not to tip our hand too much. But what I can tell you is, so around 3 o'clock we started noticing some site inactivity, intermittent, kind of up and down with the website being functional for some people and not for others. And we said, okay, what's going on? Well, Jeff, aka Starwood on the website, I'm Jeff. He is the guy in charge of migrating the LG website to a server that is hosted within his company, not the company that he owns, but one that he works for. It's a web hosting company. So I had him look into it, and sure enough, we were under a DDoS attack, a denial of service attack. Somebody just spamming everything, just hitting it. We were getting 6,000 requests a minute, something like that. So nothing was connecting, and we were looking into it. Turns out via Twitter, we find that there's a particular childish individual who has issued a set of demands. He issued one at around 5 o'clock that said that he was going to continue to attack the website until we gave in to whatever he was asking for. League Gaming, tongue-in-cheek, but League Gaming does not negotiate with terrorists, foreign nor domestic. So we don't really do that. We don't really play that game, and instead we just go ahead and do what we do, which is be the best gaming website on the planet, and we make things happen to allow us to sustain. Brody is the commissioner of LGHL on the Xbox side, and one of the site staff members was in talks with this person that claims he was responsible for the website being taken down. This individual also took down another website, VGNHL, the MV Gaming website. So he was after a couple of different websites. He was looking for a specific set of information and a couple of pieces of information about particular Twitter handles and things like that. None of that was met. The demands were not met by him, by us for what he wanted. And what I can tell you right now is the site looks to be back at about almost 90 to 100% up for everybody, at least in the United States and Canada. If you're overseas, I don't know how that affects you. I don't really know the technicality behind that stuff. But what I can say is that now that we're, looking at like an hour 15 away from being active for games in the NHL, games will take place. And if you are able, lines are set, if everything's good, play your games, talk to your owners and GMs, see where you're at. If the owners and GMs can't get the game played, whether or not somebody can't get online, whether they can't get to the website, or lines are just not set and there's not enough time to do them, please properly submit a reschedule request. We will not take the, well, he said I could reschedule kind of thing. Just go through the proper channels through the Action Center, and submit the reschedule request. Sorry, again, crisis mode since 3. To properly get the game rescheduled properly. We should be all good, though. At this point, I think everybody pretty much knows or is going to be told in the next 10 minutes that we're online. Word spreads fast in LG. You see, one friend tells 100 friends, and I think we'll be okay. I just don't know, and I didn't want to not come on here and not say something in case someone didn't know or what was going on. But yeah, in short, denial of service attack. It looks to be ended. Those are things you either have to ride the storm out or do some magic on the back end to alleviate some of the pressure, which is what we're seeing right now. I'm running a ping test on LG on my right here, and I looked at, I'd say maybe 9 out of every 10 requests are clear with 1 timing out. So we're kind of still like on edge, and things could change, but we're hoping not. So, and we will be filing the proper reports with the proper federal agents to take care of the investigation process of the back end of this stuff. But that's something that you guys don't have to worry about. You can play your games.
Now, is this something that you guys have had to deal with in the past, and how does this one compare to past experiences with DDoS attacks like this?
Yeah, sure. So we've had a couple of instances over the past, I want to say, I've been with LG since late 2013. So over the past 2 years, I'd say we've had maybe just under a handful of attacks. Some were pretty bad. Some took down the website the migration one was pretty bad in itself. That forced us to move to Jeff's server. This one was interesting in that we think that so the way DOS attacks work now is, it used to be if you had a big computer, you could send an attack and take down an entire network of servers. Now, individuals aren't really powerful enough to do that. Systems are in place to avoid that. You actually can pay a website or a service very little money to take down websites for up to an hour, and it's like $15 an hour to do this. Wow. And if you stack in six hours worth, you can for $100 you can take down a website because you have nothing to do with your pathetic life. Wow. This one was that level, from what I understand. This is talking to my technical staff here, like Jeff and whatnot. This one was one of those. So all we had to do is do a couple of magic backend things to help, like I said, alleviate the pressure, and hopefully we can trace it back and find out who was responsible. We think we have an idea, but I don't want to speculate anything on air just yet.
What a gigantic waste of time.
Isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy too, because we're also GMs, so trying to get together with the GMs to figure out how tonight's going to go and getting lineups set. We really appreciate you coming on here and explaining all this, because we know that a lot of the GMs for sure are going to be listening as well. And them being able to get this information and knowing what we're going to do, and that the site isn't even going to shut down for the night, is great. So Thank you very much for coming on to explain all that, because I had no idea really what all this was either.
Yeah, it's tough to say. If the website wasn't going to come back on, I mean, I'm in a commissioner chat with a bunch of the site staff and the BOGs and like everybody that's involved in making this happen, because it's not it's not easy to make the league run, even with Triss's amazing tools. So we were chatting all day, going, okay, what do we do? Do we run the games? Do we not run the games? Well, how good is the website? If the website was, I'd say, less than half, then we would have said no. Okay, no games will be played. We'll just reschedule or we'll make do. But with the website coming back online, thankfully, and hopefully, knock on wood, it stays that way. I think we'll be okay. Honestly, I'm hoping at least that we'll be okay. I want to appreciate you guys for doing this. Still, I know that not having the website up was difficult for you all to get this on. So that was incredible in a nutshell. Also, I want to point out something I listen to a lot of your shows. I don't really watch them because I'm doing like 800 things at once here. But I listen to all of them.
It's okay, don't worry about it.
And there's a shirt in the background, T-Sibs.
Yes.
What is that, my friend?
Oh, you mean this one over here?
Yeah.
Yeah, that I actually had that made up myself just because I wanted some. I was thinking about getting a banner, and I'm like, let's be practical. Get a T-shirt. This way you can wear it later.
I love it. I don't hate that at all. I love all the USA jerseys for one, but the fact that you got an LG shirt behind you, man, I got to tip my hat right there for you. I appreciate that.
I think that's a suggestion, saying maybe we should think about something like this.
So from a media director standpoint, what I can tell you is I kind of wear like a PR hat, I guess, at this point now. Stay tuned.
Okay.
I can tell you that, and big things are in store for LG when it comes to merchandise, but I can't really say when or what yet.
That's awesome. Fair enough. Fair enough. If you have any designs that you want us to look over and try out, and baseball hats that you want me to take a look at, I'd be more than happy to try out the merchandise, as we would say.
I will take this. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
We'll reveal on the air.
I will say I will take this time to mention that part of the incentive program with LG Media, as far as media is concerned in the league, will the members who are consistent and fill out a season will be incentivized with some LG branded products should they come to fruition in the future. I don't want to say too much. And
if they don't fill out the entire year, we're going to send them Buffalo Sabres jerseys.
There you go. That's what we'll do. But I want to say thank you guys for doing this. I want to say thank you guys for continuing to do this, not only last season but this season. And officially starting next season, I guess I can announce this on your show because it's a PSN show. The LG All-Star Games and award shows will be structured. The award shows for you guys this season will also be structured. More info on that coming real soon. But yeah, the LG media teams are responsible for the All-Star Games. They'll happen in a structured format across all 3 leagues. There'll be a method to it. It'll make sense, and it'll be officially run and well presented. So if you've had some concerns with the All-Star Games in the past, you don't have to fear anymore. We are looking to correct that in the future, and I thank you all for continuing the media on the LG PSN side. It is appreciated.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you for your time. We appreciate you coming on here at F5 Penguin for letting us know what's going on with the website, and hopefully we'll talk to you soon just for some good news eventually.
Yes, definitely. We'll stay in touch, and let's get together during the playoffs and maybe make something happen.
Absolutely, absolutely. So our media director here on LG F5 Penguin joining us tonight and letting us know what's going on with the website, which again now back up to at least around 90%, and should be full-fledged by the time we hit the ice tonight for our 9:30 AHL games. And so stay tuned. If you have any questions, let us know. We can always try and get some more information. But always, as you know, on the website, if you've got any questions there, everyone, F5, Triss, Brody, they're all on there. They're all more than happy to answer questions, and feel free to hit them up over on the LG website. And that's so there you go. That's what's going on with the site, folks. In case you were wondering, now you have it. And I just want to make sure that we had F5 come on and give us an update, because I know a lot of people are speculating and wondering what's going on. Hopefully that'll help you out a little bit there.
Yeah, speculation can be poison sometimes, and it's good to get some clarity on what was going on there. Um, we thank the boss man, for showing up on our show, and kind of giving us the
Yeah.
lowdown on what's going on. That's super cool of him. I know he's been super busy today. We've been in contact with him, trying to figure out what's going on, and so like he said, his head's been spinning for the last few hours, as I'm sure every GM in the leagues has been, trying to worry about doing lineups. And so the site's up, guys. Get in there, get your lineups put in, get the info out to your players that the site is up and running, and let's have these games go off without a hitch tonight.
Yeah, straight from the Penguin's mouth.
All right, according to the schedule on the wall here, I guess it's time for VHI's top 10. Can you at least give us a top 5 or top 3? Did you have enough information to be able to do that this week?
Well, I've got enough information, I believe, to give us an entire top 10. So
Okay. It's all yours.
I've been working closely with the LG site to get that information. So the top the top 10 scorers in the league after 8 weeks, for points. Jay Claus has 138, and if I'm not mistaken, I do believe that's a new season record. I want to say that it was 131 last year for Theos. Is that correct, Mike?
I believe so. That's I don't got 100% confirmation on that yet, but let me.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah, I believe it's under news.
Yep, and
it's not under his record book.
Second in the league right now is Kraz 18 with 100 points. Those are your only 2 players right now who have 100 points. Rhino's in third at 95. Matt the Cool Cat, left winger, is at 81.
131.
Yep, 131. So he's passed it by 7 with a week to go.
There we go.
That's impressive. That's an incredible season. Matt the Cool Cat is in fourth. He's got 81. Convicted 238 from the Pirates has 80. It's Johansson 92, a huge pickup by the Americans there late in the season, has 79. JLM for the Wolves is in seventh. He's got 78. Toffoli for the Ice Caps has 78 as well. So does Big Beefy. And rounding out your top 10 is Fat Gilly of the Ice Hogs at 77. Now, as far as goal scorers go, Jay Claus has 74, and he's kind of run away with this title unless somebody scores, I don't know what, 18 goals a game in the last week.
Right.
He's got 74. Kraz has 46, along with Carlson MVP. They both have 46, second and third. RV Clutch has 44 goals. Fairman 7 has 43 for the Wolves. Rhino's got 41 for the Ice Hogs. He's in sixth. Matt the Cool Cat is in seventh with 41. Broski 02 is in eighth with 41. And then in ninth we have Timmy Z with 40. And in 10th we have a two-way tie for 10th and 11th with Hockey Town and Kill House at 39. And for assists, we have J Claus at 64, Kraz at 54, along with Rhino. Those are second and third. JLM's in fourth with 50. Toffoli's in fifth with 49. Big Beefy's got 47, along with Killer Santo from the Americans. Danny K 2399 has 44 from the Gulls. And then tied for 9th and 10th place is Convicted 238 of the Pirates, along with Hazy Hike from the Wolfpack. A lot of shout-outs for the Wolfpack this week. Kind of funny. On defense, we have the top 10 point leaders for defensemen. A guy I mentioned earlier might show up in this list. Stivvy66 is leading the way for defensemen with 46 points. QC Chief 27 from the Americans has 43. Weed Farmer from the Wolfpack has 38. Foo Cheesy has 37. He's from the Wolves. From the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Baby Pens, we have Ultimate Aquaman at 36, along with Mixture B277 is from the goals. They're 5th and 6th with 36 points. The Killer 9879 of the Lake Erie Monsters and Sean the Boss of the Rochester Americans are 7th and 8th with 33. In 9th, we have Jabot 27 with 32, along with ZD Ball from the Americans at 32 points. So those are your top 10 leading point getters for defensemen this year so far. As far as goals go, Jabot 27 has jumped up and taken the lead away from Stivvy with 12 goals now on the season. Stivvy 66 is tied in a three-way tie for second with Ultimate Aquaman and Jay Nasty 19 of the Penguins and the Ice Hogs, respectively, at 11 goals. In fifth place, we have Fu Cheesy with nine goals. In sixth and seventh place, we have Hit by the Best 95 and General Patton 44 of the Phantoms and the Wolfpack, tied at 8. And then a three-way tie for 8th, 9th, and 10th, we have the Killer 9879 with 7. Then you have Barris, the GM over there, the Baby Sens, at 7, and Kraken 1974 as well at 7. So those are your leading goal getters this season to this point for your defensemen. And then the leading assist getters, we have QC Chief 27 at 40, Weed Farmer at 36, Stibby 66 at 35, Mixter V2 77 with 31, along with Sean the Boss, who also has 31. In sixth, we have ZD Ball from the Americans at 30. Seventh and eighth, we have Stealth Wolf and Burger at 29. At ninth, we have Fu Cheesy at 28. And in 10th, we have Ether MR or Mr. I don't ever know how to pronounce that, at 27 assists. So those are your top 10 point leaders, goal leaders, and assist leaders for offense and defense to this point through 8 weeks in the season.
I just want to take a quick second here, and you might want to check your mic there real quick, but
Stop me before that.
Yeah, but it's no big deal. Anybody who ever flips around on this site could go to stats and and check it out, and I think it's really cool that they they do the advanced statistics. A lot of people may not these may not have merit for a lot of people, but it is pretty cool to go over there and look at that from time to time. But the key over there is you got to go to minimum number of games, and since any forward or defenseman could have played up to 24 games at this point in the season, always sort it by minimum number of however many games people could play within that week. But it's fun to go over there and look around at that stuff. You got things like goal percentage, where Broski's leading the league with a 45.1 goal percentage. Jay Claus is right up behind him with 42.8. And assist percentage, you can go to that and sort it by that, where you got Jay Claus right up there, number 2 spot again, with a 64.6 assist percentage, and Toffoli is right up there at the top of the league with a 67.1 assist percentage. But it has some cool things over there, offensive zone efficiency as well. It's good to see these things, because it really tells you, how much time people are spending in their own end, or how much they're scoring when they have the puck as compared to how long they're in the zone with their time on attack. And it also has their defensive stuff in there as well as power play efficiency, own end efficiency, shots against frequency, how much they're getting shot on when they're in their own zone. There's some cool stuff over there to check out as well, and I look forward to those stats getting more and more accurate as the new editions of the game come out, and year by year, and I'm hoping that EA really gets on board with the advanced statistics next year and really starts getting those out, as far as maybe just allowing us to upload more stats that show up in the box score, such as blocked shots, takeaways, things of that nature that are very, very extremely important to the overall grade of a player. It's good to see how much they're taking the puck away, how much they're giving the puck away, and just to see certain things like that. So I'm hoping that in NHL 17 they kind of get on board with those statistics as well.
Mm-hmm. I
Site is back
100%
up.
agree.
We just got the alert that the site is back up. NHL and AHL games are to go on tonight as scheduled. So everybody get your schedules, your rosters confirmed. I just scrambled like crazy for the last 5-10 minutes before we got the show on here to confirm ours. So everybody get out there and get your schedules confirmed ASAP.
Well, I think the best thing we can do now is to talk about the one thing that's probably the most important thing going into this final week, and that is the standings and the playoff race. Obviously, the playoff race being the bigger of those things. And we mentioned a bunch of the teams that are a part of the poll, and I don't know what kind of response we've gotten because of the site being down, Jonathan. But I don't know if you want to give an update on the poll, if there's been any voting at all, just because of the issue with the site. But
there has. So far, we have 13 votes for the Bears. We've got half the votes, so there's been 26 votes. Phantoms have 1 vote. The Sound Tigers have a vote. 2 votes for the Ice Caps, none for the Wild, 6 for the Stars, and 3 for the Moose. And the question again for those 7 teams were, which of these teams not currently in a playoff spot will make it in by the end of the week?
so we know that the rest of the Bears team is listening to the podcast and on the website. They're a very supportive group. I can say that about them.
Hey, they're good teammates, man. That's what we want.
Yes,
they are. So, you know what? I think, all three of us should talk about each one of these divisions and what we see happening this week and what we think is going to wind up happening by the end of Thursday night. Again, everyone remember there are 2 games Thursday night. So, sign up for as much as you can if you're it's not just one game, not just a 9:30 game. There's a 10:30 game as well.
Five skaters will play 4 games this week.
Exactly.
And it is allowed for 5 guys to play 4 games this week. Unlike other weeks, which we've seen across the league here recently, where people are playing more games than they're supposed to. Guys, come on with it. Get that together, huh?
You'd like to believe everybody knew all the rules, but that's not always the case. Well, I mean, let's talk about the Wolfpack at this point and the Eastern Atlantic. There's not much going on as far as anyone really going to take them over. They're going to win that one, but we still have the Pirates who are there in second place in a fairly comfortable position, but certainly not out of the woods completely yet. The Baby Pens and Providence. Lehigh Valley and ourselves, Hershey, and even Bridgeport really have a chance. Yeah. Bridgeport's on a losing streak right now, but all these teams are still in it in this division.
I mean, this is the only division across the entire league where basically every team, 7 out of 8 teams, are still within reach of a playoff spot, and that's crazy to me. That right there, that's why we play the game, is to have that chance and have that, be able to squeeze in at the end. We'd like to have had a better start to the season.
Yep.
I'm sure a lot of teams would have. But, it's amazing to see that 7 out of 8 teams in that division are right on the cusp, and it could literally go any way in those bottom 2 playoff spots coming out of that division. It could go any direction.
Well, I'm also sure that I know for the Bears, I've looked at our schedule for the last 10 games of the season. We play every one of these teams at least once and a couple of them twice this week. And I'm sure that there's I haven't looked at all of their schedules, but I'm sure they all have very similar schedules playing interdivision and a couple teams a couple times. And there's going to be a lot of points won and lost in head-to-head games here. So, this table with Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, all the way down to the Bridgeport Sound Tigers, everybody within 10 points, that could be shaken up a lot by the end of the week, that's for sure.
the Eastern North right now with the Rochester Americans comfortably in front. The Syracuse Crunch, who have played well all season, just could not catch up to him. Kept pace with them for a little while, but have not been able to really make much ground on them. But Syracuse firmly in second place right now for the most part, but Binghamton certainly could catch them. And then you've got Albany right there on the edge. And then it's St. John's, who are 10 points behind Albany. So St. John's is going to need a miracle this week to still be in it. Albany has had its ups and downs. It's been around the 4-5 position all year, even with teams with players that have been tremendous players. But I think Albany has hurt themselves by making so many trades and so many moves that they haven't been able to get the chemistry together to be able to make the run up to third and second place like I felt they could have. And now, they make the playoffs. Do they have enough time with the playoff games that are left to gel as a team and play better and better as the playoffs go on?
Yeah.
That's a great point, Sibs. It's only time will tell on that one. Only time will tell. They did make a ton of moves. If I had to guess, I would say it's probably between them and Chicago as far as who made the most moves this season. I could be wrong on that. That'd be an interesting thing to look up before the season runs out here. But chemistry is huge, especially going into the playoffs when teams are really firing on all cylinders. You got to have your chemistry set and ready to roll at that point in time.
Yeah. And the other thing I want to say is you mentioned about people playing extra games and things like that. There's been league warnings issued several times this year to different guys. It's all public information you can find on the site. ECUs can only play 8 games as an ECU. Don't cost yourself a playoff spot because you ECU a guy that you didn't put on your roster for 4 games this week and he's already played his maximum, because the league will overturn every game that he played in or her as a forfeit, and you'll lose those 4 wins. They'll become 4 losses. That's a huge point swing coming down. So just make sure that doesn't happen, because we want this playoff race to end organically. However it's going to end, it's going to end. For instance, the Bears, we've had a couple of strong weeks to put us back up in contention. If we fall short, there's nothing to be upset about except for the fact that we didn't start off strong enough. But we don't want to get the spot because a team takes 4 forfeits or 2 forfeits for something. We want to earn it if we're going to get in there, and I'm sure the other teams feel the same way.
Absolutely, guys. Know the rules. Please know the rules, and make sure that you're following them, because you won't get away with it. They'll catch it.
You still there, Sibs?
Yeah, I see Mike is in mid-speak there. I don't know if we lost him or not. He's still there, but he may have frozen up. Anyway, you know what? Well, we'll see if Mike gets done taking that breath that he's taking right now, and if he comes back, we'll get him back on. Let's move on to the Western Central. We've got obviously Rockford. Pretty much has locked that one up. Chicago's 16 points behind. There are 10 games played, so technically there's still a possibility of them catching up, but more than likely Rockford is going to take this division. Chicago, more than likely, again, also number 2, although they're only 5 points ahead of Lake Erie. And then after that, it is Grand Rapids, who are 25 points back of Lake Erie. Grand Rapids at 71 points. They have Iowa in there, who may have a chance of catching up to them, and Manitoba with a very slim chance. But that looks like it's going to be Rockford, Chicago, Lake Erie, and probably Grand Rapids. That one's a little bit more clear. And Rockford, Jonathan, going on a 7-game winning streak right now. I can't say that there's been a down point or they are now, hitting their peak, because I think they've been at their peak all year long, and this season has just been one big run for them.
It really has. And you know how your harshest critic on yourself. J Claus has been frustrated to this point. They still haven't been able to get a 9-0 week. And their only loss this week came against the Chicago Wolves in my game of the week, which I'll get to in in a little bit. But yeah, as we move down out of that division into the Western Pacific, only the Rampage have locked up a spot, and they did it by going on a 7-game win streak to end the week this week. They're sitting at 102 points at the top of their division. They've clinched at least a wild card berth. They can still lose their division. They're 12 points up, though it looks like they probably have it locked up unless they just have a terrible week, which in the West, you never know. That can absolutely happen. But the Goals are sitting in second at 90 points, and then there's a 7-point gap down to the Barracuda at 83, and this is where it all clogs up just a tiny bit, as you have the Barracuda with 83 and the Bakersfield Condors nipping at their heels at 82, and then the Texas Stars 1 point out of a spot right now at 81. That's going to be an interesting race to watch this week because Bakersfield went on a huge run over the last couple weeks. They're 8-2 in their last 10. The Stars are 6-3-1 in their last 10, and the Stars ended the week on a 3-game win streak or loss streak. I'm sorry, and gave away that playoff spot to the Condors, who have been flying their way to a playoff spot over the last several weeks. They've been on fire. They had, I want to say they had a 9 or a 10-game winning streak at one point earlier this week before they lost a game. And they have really taken off. They've made this division race here really interesting.
It was definitely 10, I think, at one point. Right after they beat us, it was at a 10-game win streak. And we both were tied for the longest winning streak in the league. And that disaster of a 40 seconds happened, and that was their 10th game in a row.
Yep. Absolutely. But they're tough. They battled back and scored 2 goals in the final minutes and not even give us a point. And, they've been doing that to a lot of teams lately. I even want to say that at one point we looked at their 1-goal game record and they were below 500. I want to say it was something around like 4-6-7 or 4-6-5, something like that. And now they're 15-8-8 in 1-goal games. And one of those 1-goal games was against us. They're, I'm not sure how true it is or not when you get to the playoffs and you talk about teams that have been playing playoff hockey for 2 months, how much that really means, but I believe there's something to that. And the Condors are definitely a team that have been playing playoff hockey for the last probably 3 or 4 weeks and have put themselves in a real nice position heading into the final week of the season. And they're going to be tough to take out of that position. They've got their fingers on it, and they're not going to want to let go right now.
Well, we can move on to the games of the week because I do want to talk a little bit about the Condors and about San Jose. The game I picked last week was San Jose and San Antonio. It was a 3-2 Barracuda win, and certainly some good goaltending in that one, as we expected, out of Mooner and Perkins Pancake House. Our buddy Lyons wound up getting a couple assists in that game in the first star. The Barracuda certainly have the ability to beat anybody, and they're going to need that this week. The game I'm featuring is coming up on Tuesday, I believe. It's Barracuda and, as you mentioned, the Bakersfield Condors. San Jose with a 1-point lead on Bakersfield. They last played on the 22nd, and that was a 3-1 San Jose win. But before that, Bakersfield had won 4 straight against San Jose and have beaten them 4 out of 5 times this year, obviously. San Jose is on a 4-game winning streak. They've won 8 out of their last 11. Bakersfield, 13 out of their last 16 games victories. Now, who's in goal is the question. Bakersfield has It's Galley and Abdeel now, 2 solid goaltenders, and I'm not sure what the split-up's going to be this week of goaltending matchups for them, but Galley certainly has been their top goaltender for a good chunk of the year now. And, of course, you got Perkins and Bielski, who's played well. I would guess Perkins will probably be in net, and more than likely Galley. Either way, whoever's in net for both teams, it's going to be a heck of a matchup. And that game, and again, I believe that's a Tuesday night game, is going to be a very important one for the playoff race. There's a few others that Bakersfield has to play as well that are also pretty important, but that one is going to be one that I'm definitely going to have my eyes on.
Yeah, 100%. My game of the week last week, I watched this game on Sunday night, was between the Ice Hogs and the Wolves, and it didn't disappoint. The Ice Hogs jumped out to a 1-0 lead early in the first period, and the Wolves came right back, and they were on them. They were, in the first period, I believe they out-time on attacked the Ice Hogs 3.5 minutes to 2.5 minutes, or maybe it was 2.5 to 1.5 minutes, something like that. They had, I think they had 5 shots on goal with less than 6 minutes to go in the first period. They got 5 shots, and the Ice Hogs were able to shut the door. They took a 1-0 lead to the first intermission. Coming out in the second period, the Wolves were able to tie the game up, and they were playing solid defensive hockey, and they were breaking out with some long stretch passes when they had the opportunity to get the goals that they ended up getting. In the third period, the Wolves jumped out to a 3-1 lead, and basically played defense the rest of the period, as the Ice Hogs were able to net 1 goal with about 6.5 minutes to go in the third to get it to 3-2. And boy, let me tell you, that last minute and a half of the game, Ice Hogs had several chances to score, and Chicago stood tall. They answered to the test, and were able to get it done. They beat the Ice Hogs 3-2, handing them their only loss of the week. And watching this game, it was really, 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 really tense. I was watching the Wolves broadcast, and I could hear them talking, and they were, hey, we got to do this. Watch this guy over here, constantly going, and they had some close calls on the offensive side that they didn't score, that they couldn't believe they didn't bury the puck. And then on the other end, their goalie came up huge with several amazing saves really late in that game. It was fun to watch. The Ice Hogs ended up out time on attacking the Wolves 7:56 to 5:42, because they spent most of the second half of the third period trying to tie that game, and it was relentless attack after relentless attack, and the Wolves stood tall. They only gave up 1 goal to win the game 3-2. The Wolves did outshoot the Ice Hogs 14-11, and like I said, a lot of that came from playing defense and then hitting either Fairman or JLM on a pass to break it up through the middle. And the Ice Hogs goalie, I got to give him credit, he stopped several breakaway chances to keep this game close. Otherwise, the Wolves could have put it away early. The Ice Hogs gave up a 5-minute major and had 2 minors, as well as the Wolves having 2 minors, and neither team was able to score on the power play. You got to figure that if anybody scores on one of those power plays, that could end up being in the difference in a game like that. But they were all able to kill off their penalties. The Wolves ended up winning 18 faceoffs to the Ice Hogs 9, and that was a big part of this late in the game, able to win the faceoff and get the puck out of the zone and make them have to re-enter instead of just setting up shop. So this was a really great game to watch. I'm glad I picked it as my game of the week and was able to watch it last Sunday night. It was really fun.
Well, there you have it. Who is your game of the week this week?
Go ahead, Sibs.
Oh, I actually mentioned that. It was the...
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Mike, did you give yours? Give me 1 second. I can't get this. I had to pull this page up.
My game of the week last week turned out to be a dud. I picked the Amerks, which is the Rochester Americans versus the Rockford Ice Hogs. Thought it very well could be a preview of the championship game, and the Ice Hogs played their number one line. Now, I don't know if this was Rochester's number one line or not, but hey, the playoffs don't matter. Your number one line only gets to play one, maybe 2 games. And your number one line ain't going to do much for you. Your team has to win as a team, and when it comes playoff time. But the Rockford Ice Hogs just basically stuck it to the Americans. It was an 11-1 victory. They completely outworked them in the entire game. That was the game that I spoke of earlier, where Kraz had 7 goals, 2 assists. Both Claus and Rhino both had a couple of goals each, and 5 and 6 assists. It just turned out to be kind of a walk in the park for the Ice Hogs, which a lot of games have been this year. And it was just, it looks like Rochester did shoot themselves in the foot. They took 7 penalties, and you cannot take 7 penalties against a team like the Ice Hogs. They're going to make you pay for it, and pay for it the Americans did by giving up as many goals as they did. Now, on the other hand, I'm going to go for my game of the week this week. And hey, you know what? All season long, we have not been homers. We have not chosen our team or our players for much of anything at all. But my game of the week this week is the Providence Bruins versus the Hershey Bears, the second game tonight. This season series is tied at 2-2 going into the 5th and final game of the season tonight between these two teams. It's going to be a knockdown, drag out. It should be a highly entertaining game. There's a lot on the line. It is early in the week. There's still going to be 8 games to go after this, but this is going to set the precedence for how the rest of the week is going to go. And, this should be a highly entertaining game. So I'm very much looking forward to Providence and Hershey tonight at 8:30 p.m. Mountain Time, 10:30 Eastern.
You sound pretty excited, Mike.
I'm super pumped. I'm nervous as hell, though. I can't watch the game.
You stole my thunder, man. I should have just gone ahead and said my game. I was going to wait till the end because I was going to pick us in a game because we haven't done it all year. And I'm still going to, but my game wasn't that game. The reason I'm picking the Hershey Bears as a game of the week this week, we're playing the Hartford Wolfpack on Wednesday night at 7:30, I guess 9:30 Eastern. This is going to be the point in the week where we'll find out if the Bears have been able to keep their stuff together on their run towards the playoffs, and we'll be coming against the top team in our division, who has beaten us fairly handily a couple times this year. The games have steadily gotten closer each time, and last time we faced the Wolfpack, the Bears did beat them. Beefy has talked a little bit and doesn't. He wants to say that the Wolfpack are underdogs. I'll let him say it. I guess they are, talking about the playoffs. So we'll see 2 underdogs facing each other Wednesday night, and we'll see if the Bears can get it done on their way towards a run towards the playoffs. And it'll be a tough game, and it'll be hard fought, and that is my game of the week.
Well, what do you got over there? And it's just about game time here, guys. We got to get wrapped up here and get going.
It is just about practice time, I guess, huh?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
John.
Real quickly, we didn't have any submissions for Unsung Heroes this week, and I don't know. Did we want to mention the one that we had sitting back, or do we want to save that for next week?
We'll go ahead and save that for next week.
Okay. So just make sure, guys, that you're submitting your Unsung Heroes to us so we can give these people a shout out on the show. That's all I wanted to say about that. Otherwise,
All right.
have a great run towards the playoffs.
Yeah, we are pretty much done with the regular season show now, folks. It's going to be leading into the playoffs next week, and I'm sure we'll have a lot to say about what those matchups are going to be like when that happens. I think it's going to be a fun week for everyone here in LG, and hopefully the site will stay up and we'll be in good shape.
It's big boy time. It's time to put on the big boy pants and get to work out there. Final week of the season. Get her done.
Any last words, Jonathan? Just a thumbs up. All right. Well, this has been LG AHL PSN or LG Hockey Hotline or whatever it is you want to call it this week. And we will be back next week to talk to you about the playoffs. And good luck to everybody here in Week 9. We will talk to you later.